Hi everyone, welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day, and it's all about the man between the posts. Yes, the goalkeeper, the number one, the man who's trying to stop the opposition, battering goals past Newcastle United. He's been in the spotlight a little bit recently, just before our game against Nottingham Forest midweek. There was a very interesting graph that came up, courtesy of Sky Sports, who decided to point out the differences between Nick Pope, who's our normal number one goalkeeper, has been missing for a long time now. He dislocated his shoulder in the 1-0 win against Manchester United back in December, and Nick was quoted being out for 4 months, but he is due back, hopefully, in late March. And we're just having a little conversation here about how important Nick Pope is for Newcastle United and literally the difference between him and Martin Dubravka. So this was the graph and the statistics that they pulled up. It was actually quite alarming, to be honest with you. So looking at the games here, so this is before Nick Pope's injury and since Nick Pope's injury. So you look at the 14 games there before Nick Pope's injury. So in terms of goals conceded, Newcastle only conceded 14 goals in those 14 games. So we were first in the league in terms of goals conceded. So Nick Pope was doing his job, as was the defence and the midfield. 163 shots faced, so we were fourth in the league. The XG against us was 14.3, so we were second in the league. And the XG prevented was 1.8, so we were eighth in the league in that regard. Now, since Nick Pope's injury and Martin Dubravka has come in, the first few games he played, he did look a little bit shaky. So 9 games Martin's played so far, we've conceded 23 goals in those 9 games. We have had some batterings as well. In terms of the Liverpool game would be the main one, and that's ranked us down to 20th now for goals conceded in those 9 games. So that's not very good. So we've gone from top of the table to bottom of the table very quickly. Shots faced 165. Now that looks very similar to the previous statistic with Nick Pope, but that was in 5 less games. So we were 20th for that as well. The XG against is 26.3, so we're 20th there. And the XG prevented is actually higher, so we're 3.1, which means the first in the table. But you've got to remember that was a lot of that's heavily weighted to the Alamo that was against Liverpool at Anfield, where I think it was it 4-2 in the end. I think it was possibly. We obviously escaped one there. Should have been about 8 in all fairness. But yeah, so what is the situation here and what is the problem? I think the big question, obviously, is in terms of the goalkeeper. Nick Pope is targeting late March for his return. Now, does Nick Pope get straight back into the team? Now, for me, 100%, even before looking at that statistic, right? But he's got to get back in the team for me. If Nick Pope is fit, he's straight back in the side. Now, that might sound harsh on Martin Dubravka. You can say he's been a bit unfair. We'll get into that in a second about how the defence and the midfield have maybe struggled a little bit as well. But there's a reason for that. Now, for me, Nick Pope, there's a reason we signed Nick Pope. Martin Dubravka was not a number one Champions League goalkeeper. He lacked in a lot of areas. He's too slow off his line, a little bit hesitant. I think he doesn't instill confidence in the back four. He's made some high-profile mistakes, flatting for crosses, dropping balls, those kind of things. And he wasn't particularly great in terms of that sweeper-keeper type mentality, coming off his line really quick and closing angles. Doesn't make himself big enough in one-on-ones for me either, which we saw was evident against the Elanga chance. Yes, Byrne gets blasted for pace, but Dubravka's got to make himself bigger there. His hands are down practically. He makes his mind up for Elanga, just slips it between his legs like Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. So that's one of Dubravka's biggest problems for me, and that's why we spent 10 million quid on Nick Pope, which looks to be one of the signs of the bloody century for us, to be honest, with how well that he played. Nick Pope is a much better goalkeeper. I think he's had his moments as well where he's been a little bit rash, the red card and stuff, and sometimes with his feet he's not the best. But what Nick Pope brings you, and I think the reason the back four looks so more confident with Nick Pope behind him, is that they know they can push up another 5 or 10 yards and look to play players offside, because they know if that ball goes over the top and the player beats the offside trap, Nick Pope is out like a shot, like a flash. He's either clearing the ball, or he's making himself big, or he's narrowing the angle, and it gives time for Botman, Shaw, Trippier, Byrne, or whoever it is, to get back in a position to stop the attack and stop any of the potential crosses in the box to the oncoming attackers. And Dubravka doesn't seem to do that. Dubravka gets stuck a little bit in no man's land, doesn't know where to come or go. And I think that also rattles the defence in front of them as well. You can see they look a little bit hesitant. They look a bit shaky. They're not sure if a ball goes over the top. Is he going to be there? Is he not going to be there? Is he going to come? Is he going to go? Is he going to stop? There's a few times where he's went and he stopped in the middle, and he's made the mind up for the attacker quite easily. In some of the games, I think the Bournemouth game, I think was it certainly the Liverpool game, and a couple of goals as well, the Forest game. A few of these other goals start popping in your mind, and you think, Nick Pope probably doesn't get beat there. He probably makes an angle a little bit more difficult. So for me, Nick Pope gets straight back into this team. Now, some of them statistics are a little bit harsh on Dubravka because the team has totally fell off. The two key players are missing in this equation that made Newcastle so defensively solid in terms of a unit was Joe Linton in the middle of the park and Nick Pope at the back. So Nick Pope instilled confidence throughout the whole team, certainly the back four. Let them be calm, let them play their game. And then Joe Linton in that midfield was the warrior, the guy who tracked players back, made challenges, covered for other players, and then he pressed and went box to box as well. Missing Joe Linton is a huge blow for Newcastle right through the spine of that team. And I think it does affect us defensively as well because people just run right through the middle of us. The pass balls right through the middle of us. We've seen that with Miley, with Longstaff, with Bruno Guimaraes. They'll go wandering, they'll go left and they'll go right. There's a huge gap in the middle. We saw Gibbs White against Forest just slipping right through there. If a Joe Linton's there, he's right in Gibbs White's face and he stops that ball being played or he tracks the runner back and helps burn out. But also, Pope comes out quicker and narrows that angle down and maybe dives at Elanga's feet and gets the ball off him before he even gets the shot off. That's the two big differences we're missing here. But the whole point of this video and the question we're throwing out to you guys as well, drop a comment in, let us know what you think. Does Nick Pope get straight back into this side when he's fully fit? Now, for me, it's 100% yes. What happens in the summer? Do we sign another goalkeeper? Do we sign a keeper to challenge Pope for a number one spot? Do we sign a better reserve goalkeeper? Because I don't think Martin Dubravka will be here come next season. I think he'll want to go off and try and be a number one somewhere else. He's had another taste of it now as well. He's had good moments, he's had bad moments, he's had different moments, but I think he will want to be a number one next season. He won't hang around here to be Nick Pope's number two if he gets back into the team in March. But we always like to hear from you guys. Smash a comment in. And if you like what you're listening to, smash subscribe. Come and join us. We're over 6,500 subs here. Loads of room for you nevermore. It's all free content, just like the video you watch. But if you do want to give it back to the channel, there is a membership option down there below. Click whichever one suits you best. Like the video, help the channel grow. We'll be back with some more Newcastle United content, asking those questions to you as fans to give us your opinions in the comments as we always do. Have a crack one. We'll see you later. Cheers. Bye.